Welcome to Intuitive Seek. My name is Mary Treen, and every week I aim to bring you a grounded approach to all things intuition. Through personal stories, experiences, and practices, offering energetic reflections to help you discover, connect, and fully realize how your unique power of intuition is your own greatest teacher.
Hello, welcome everyone. Welcome back or welcome, however you find this episode. I'm so happy that you're able to join me. I hope you're doing well. And if you're not, I hope you're giving yourself some time, some space while you're listening to a podcast. So that's good. But yes, a reminder for all of us to allow ourselves to feel however we're feeling. An important part of working with our intuition. And if you're listening to this episode, you are probably really interested or already working with your intuition, helping other people through your intuition. But you're definitely intuitive curious. And I'm really looking forward to diving into this episode because I was looking back at all of the journeys that I've been so honored to be a part of, to support so many lovely people moving through different parts of their journey, and then looking at my own as well. And I felt like kind of diving into the phases of connecting to our intuition. And the part of that remembering that I wanted to speak about today is that point right at the beginning. And it's not only happening once, we can go through it multiple times through our lives as we change and grow and are lucky enough to live. But that point in our life cycles, and some would call it a spiritual awakening, but I really do see it as a natural part of our lives if we decide to kind of lean into it. I think of it more as a remembering of our spirit, of our heart, of our energy, of our purpose, of our souls. But that awakening, remembering, at the very beginning, there is this point when we're connecting to our intuitive universe, which is the way that I really like to see it, because it's so vast and so full and so alive, our intuition and the way we connect to it. But the beginning, it really can feel like we're awakening, but not only spiritually. At that specific time, and you may be in it right now, or you may be going back into it, into a new phase of your life, a new phase of your growth, of your healing. But it can feel like we're awakening, waking up in the dark. Waking up in the dark where there's no light to turn on but our own. And that can feel really overwhelming. So if you're going through that right now, you are going to be okay. And you are not alone. Human beings have been going through this phase of our lives, but we haven't really talked about it in this way that I've seen. And so much of the conversations around intuition and energy and spirituality, all the modalities, healing, everyone can really be saying the same thing. But it takes that one person to say it in the way where it connects with us. So maybe that will be me for you today. So if you are at the beginning of your journey or the beginning of a new journey, you may be feeling like this. You may feel like you are waking up in the dark Because when we begin to, or continue to, connect to our intuitive universe, to our unique way our intuition speaks to us and is connected, when we remember our intuition, we really realize that our intuitive senses are the very extremely natural way that we connect, communicate, and really translate with the seen, but also the unseen world around us and inside of us. But it's often, more often than not, it's not a smooth transition. Rarely, if ever, is it smooth. In this reconnection, in this awakening, in this remembering, which feels more true for me, so maybe it's more true for you. It's not smooth. It's really tough. And it's the part of our journey that really makes us feel like we want to get as far away from it as possible. No, never mind. This is not what I signed up for. I don't want this. No. Sure, I was asking for some change. Sure, I was looking for my purpose. Sure, I was wanting my life to feel more satisfying and have more depth and clear, rounded beauty. For me, anyway. But I didn't know that it would have to start this way. And that way is feeling like, in my experience and in my work, it can really feel like we are waking up in the dark with no light for us to see. And that's why it feels like a remembering. Because the language of our intuition, the way that we receive the wisdom of our intuition, is not something that we awaken to. It's something that we remember. That connection to translating the seen and unseen world around us is not something that other people are asleep to. They just haven't remembered yet. And I think the wording, the verbiage is what I don't resonate with in spiritual awakening, because it feels very divisive. Some have woken up and some are asleep. Feels judgmental. And maybe not for you, but for me, it does. And I think it doesn't resonate as well because it's not how I see it and how I've experienced it. Because almost, I can't actually think of anyone that I've ever talked to that didn't say, oh, that's what this is, when they're really discovering their intuition. And that, is not learning something new. That's the of recollection. That's the of like remembering. So when we first begin to remember, we can feel like we have forgotten something. And that's part of what it feels like to be in the dark, more open and conscious, but still in the dark. It can feel like, what did I forget? There's something missing. It's that nagging feeling of knowing that you are meant to do something, knowing that you are meant to bring something, make something, get something, do something. Something. There is something that you just can't put your finger on, but it's causing you a lot of distraction. Like everything was pretty much the status quo. You were going about your life. The same annoyance, the same frustrations, the same good, the same bad, the same work, the same family. Like it was your life. It was fine. But it doesn't happen all at once. For some people, it does. Some people have, a near death experience, or they have a big car accident, like something big happens. But even for me, the kind of jostling and beginning for me was my divorce. Big, 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 surprising heartbreak. But it wasn't until quite a few years later that I was really, really moving through that darkness. So this may not be all of the sudden you're feeling like this. It happens slowly. So I hope that if you are going through this, that this is connecting to you and you're feeling a little bit seen, and that you're thinking or maybe feeling, oh, okay, this is something that other people are going through. This is not unique to me. You are unique for sure. And what you're meant to do with all of this change and moving into this journey, that's unique to you. But the feeling, that nagging feeling that can cause a lot of frustration and a lot of distraction, where you feel like something is missing, that is a human experience. And that's the thing with our knowing. At the beginning, we don't really have anything outside of us to guide us. When we get that nagging feeling of remembering, when we feel like we're moving through the dark and we can't see anything clearly, no clear direction, we just know that it's not the path we're on now. One part of that awakening in the dark is that other people are also in the dark to what you're experiencing. And not everyone. You can have someone to help guide you through it, like an energy healer, intuitive guide like me, so many different modalities that can help you. But in your regular life, when you're moving through all of these feelings, this real uncertainty of everything is kind of changed, but you have no idea why or what or how. When you feel that nagging, that something is missing, that there is another way, another path, something else that you are meant to know, meant to do, it can feel impossible to explain it to someone else for them to understand. And I feel like that is part of it, that other people at that moment in our journey are not meant to understand, because we are meant to remember, even if it's just a little bit, to start to gain that clarity through our own knowing. Because no one at that point, no one can really know, because that knowing that we're looking for in someone else during that time, no one can know, because that knowing is from within. And that's the most annoying, frustrating part of this phase of our journey, is we have to start trusting ourselves. We have to start trusting from within, because we're waking up. We're waking up in the dark, and we're remembering our intuitive universe. And it might feel unfamiliar and uncomfortable and disorienting and confusing. When you begin to remember the language of your intuition, It takes some time. It takes time to remember that you are the light that guides you through that darkness, the light that really guides the path of your destiny. How do we know that that is the path? How do we know that we are doing things correctly? Or knowing or translating our intuition or listening to it? Or do we even know if it is our intuition? Well, that's where our trust comes in. Because our light shines onto each step that we are meant to take. But we don't get to see the whole path because it's up to us for that path to unfold. It's up to us to move through that darkness with our trust, to listen to those intuitive nudges, to listen to the frustration and the uncertainty and the fear and the nagging feeling of something is missing. It's up to us to go and look, to answer those questions that come up. To not just do things because we've always done them that way. To not just do things because we should be doing them. But in that phase, that darkness, that early phase of being in the dark, you get to remember who you are. And yes, that will take time. But that's where it begins. So when we trust ourselves and listen to ourselves through this really frustrating time, where I don't actually think it's the time to look for other people going through the same. Eventually, yes. But it's a time where it's important to go within, to gain the answers on your own, to not look for that understanding right away, to not look for the community right away, because you're remembering your own light. You're remembering how it shines. And that's how we can start to trust our path, the journey that we feel called to go on. Because that trust means that we leave it to the light, to our light, to guide us. So if you're in this space of spiritual awakening, of remembering, where you feel like you are different, like something has changed, where you're not connecting to things that used to make you really happy before, where something is missing, there's a nagging feeling. Well, can you anchor in to this is the time where you're really meant to be remembering, connecting and reacquainting and remembering the unique energy that you're made of. Because I know that your heart is waiting for you to listen. I know that the path is waiting for you to recognize it, to light it up. I know that the energy all around you is waiting for you to remember your connection to it and how to translate it, how to allow it to guide you too. And this phase really reminds me of how 95% of our physical universe has not been measured, and they call it dark matter. So what if your personal energy was the same? What if 95% of you has not been measured, or discovered, or explored? What if that unexplored sea of energy that you are made of, all the elements of the universe you are made of, what if that is holding everything that you have ever wanted or needed to know? Like, how would you live if you trusted yourself completely? If you trusted that you could translate all the answers that your soul and your heart and your mind and your spirit are craving to know? What if you could translate all those answers through your intuition? That's what happens when you begin to remember the language of your intuitive universe. And that's why it can feel as if you are waking up in the dark, in the darkness with no guiding light. Because this is the place where we find ourselves in our journey, where we are being asked to really, finally trust ourselves. This part of the journey takes the most courage, I feel. This part, this phase, this step, this is like the ultimate trust fall. But it's like a trust fall into ourselves. Even if you don't have any evidence to support you, you have to trust that you know what to do and where you're going. When what you feel you should do, could do, want to do, feel pulled to do is terrifying, probably doesn't make any rational sense, where no one around you understands either, where you most likely come up to people saying that you shouldn't do it, shouldn't make that decision, because they are most likely caring about you and wanting to help keep you safe. But that's what a trust fall is. You have to trust that you will be caught and you will not slam into the ground and hurt yourself. So this is the time where every point that you allow yourself to speak when your voice doesn't want to, when your throat is tight and dry and your voice feels shaky and uncertain, when your heart is really racing, where your knees are buckling, where you are feeling dizzy and your mouth is dry and you just do not know what to do, even though you kind of do know what to do, but you don't know if it's the right thing to do because there's no clarity, because you only know what you're feeling inside and everything is different and all of that madness. That's when you have to trust yourself. You have to trust that your light is enough to light the way. But how can you trust yourself if you don't really know yourself? Well, that's what it's all about. In Joseph Campbell, his hero's journey, the archetype for most stories, this is referred to, this part is referred to as the call to adventure, similar to the call to adventure, which sounds exciting. Oh, an adventure, fun, call to adventure. But this step of remembering is much more terrifying because at first, you're aware of yourself in a way that you haven't felt before or in a very long time. And it's so hard to describe, very difficult to share. And when you try to express what you're going through at this point, very few people get it. And that can make you feel even more unsure, which makes it even harder to see clearly. The people that you once turned to for advice or to help you make a choice. They can't seem to understand what you are going through or what you're describing. You're not really getting that affirming, validating, I said affirming weird, affirming, validating reaction that you maybe would normally get when you're sharing something about your life, something you're going through. Because there is no clear vision or path right now in this part, in this phase. Any choice you make, any small step into this darkness might be shrouded, like completely wrapped up in fear. And a very small step of you kind of stepping into the path that you feel like you really want to go into because it feels like, yes, this is right. This is what I feel pulled to, but I don't know why. And what am I thinking? All the things, all the doubt, all the fear. Because that one little step, where in hindsight, you'll look back and be wildly shocked at how small of a step it was. That small step at this point in your journey can feel like a giant leap into the unknown. And I could do kind of a moon landing reference here, but I just realized that kind of sounded like it. One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. Okay, so maybe I will. One small step into your human is one giant leap for your intuitive universe. So I hope that this is connecting with you. And even if you've been through it and you're not in it right now, maybe it's helping you reflect on what you've gone through and how much you have built this beautiful trust in yourself and how much you have bet on yourself and brought yourself to these places that might have seemed totally crazy to you. But now it's your life. So hold on to this time in the darkness. Any minuscule piece of trusting yourself is going to build into that velocity of trust. It's going to build a momentum. And the more you trust yourself, the more you'll be able to see yourself and see that light that you shine. And that lights up the path that you're meant to be going and moving onto. And that reminds me of another Joseph Campbell quote. And I haven't even read him recently, so I don't know why he's here so much right now, but it's a great quote and not verbatim, but if the path ahead is completely clear, then it's someone else's. And that may feel like, okay, good for a moment. But if you're in this phase, what you may feel the most right now is deep frustration. I know I did. That was a big part. Being so frustrated by not having that clarity, but knowing that I was meant to do something. Because everything that you have dealt with, put up with, went along with in your life so far, until this point of awakening in the dark, the way you were is not really possible anymore if it wasn't authentic to you. And that can be very frustrating. And not to be super dramatic, but it's kind of like your soul is on fire, but you don't know what it's illuminating. All you know is that you're on fire. But on the outside, you may seem exactly the same, which can be even more frustrating. Because on the inside, everything is feeling different. And that's because you are remembering who you really are, who you always have been, not who you're meant to be, not who you want to be, not who other people want you to be, but who you were born to be. your unique, beautiful person, your unique essence, which is as unique as your fingerprint or the stripes of a zebra. And maybe you're feeling frustrated because everything has changed and you need to walk through this phase of darkness alone. That's frustrating. Why do we have to do it on our own? And not the whole time. We will get support, but in this very specific part, it's gaining that trust. It's remembering our light. It's allowing ourselves to know what isn't authentic to us. And so there is fear and anxiety and doubt and all the things, anger, so many feelings. It's the time when you are unsettled. But there is hope. And that's why I wanted to do this episode, because it is such an important part of our journey, this one phase, because there is hope. There are glimmers of familiarity. There's like a vast, fertile void in that darkness. That darkness is actually like a garden. It's a vast, fertile void of potential that you have always been moving through. But now you can see it. But it's dark and often lonely. And there may be no kind of warmth of recognition or like shared experience or connection in this specific part. Because in this darkness, you are recognizing your own warmth outside of other people's expectations and ideas and judgments of you. It's where you are experiencing like a reconnection to your own unique energy. And your intuition is the conduit for your discovery. And it's okay to feel uncomfortable. It's important. It's okay to feel uncertain and frustrated with where you have found yourself. And I'm so glad you found this episode if you're going through this, because I'm here to tell you that you are exactly where you are meant to be. But now you don't know anything, it feels like, right? All you know is that you can't see clearly and you can't think clearly. And the things that lit you up before or entertained you, they have kind of lost their charm. Now you're more aware. You're up. You're awake. You're in the process of remembering. But this is not about who you are becoming. You're opening your eyes to the start of this new journey, this new cycle of your life, which is, I feel, and I think I said, an important passage for all of us. But not everyone says yes to it. A lot of people say, oh, never mind. But if you're hearing this and you have resonated with anything I've said, then you're already on it. You've already said yes. You're in it. And I'm so happy that you did. Because the world needs all of us to remember so that we can fulfill our personal purpose, our destiny, so that we can help to fulfill the destiny of the world. And maybe you can feel that the world is changing too. Because right now there is a lot of transformation happening. But when we are changing, the world around us changes. It just does. So you are transforming but not into someone new. You're transforming back into yourself. And as you shed the pieces of yourself that you picked up along the way that are not yours, the ones that kept you feeling safe and secure and worthy, but not from the inside, the ones that created a beautiful mosaic that allowed everyone else to feel safe too. As these pieces begin to fall away, you may feel more alone and untethered than maybe you ever have before. But remember, it's because you're reuniting with your true self. And this kind of reunion in the dark can feel quite painful sometimes at first because you have nothing familiar to hold on to. But the ground beneath your feet, which was once clouded with everything you should be and should do, is now nothing that you recognize. And it's a darkness that you must walk through with your trust and trusting that your feet will be supported as you make your way on your own, on your authentic path, back to your new beginning. So don't rush this part if you're going through it, as hard as it may be. This is where you open up. This is where your soul opens up. This is where your heart softens and opens up. This is where your intuition opens up. This is where all the gifts and abilities and talents you have hidden or forgotten that are waiting to be uncovered, this is where you can find that safe place for your feet to land. The beginnings of it, at least. This is where you start to remember your way back home to yourself. And with each connection you make with yourself, each connection lights up a spot in the darkness, lights up a spot, a star, to guide you, where part of your map is revealed, and you begin to really connect to the energy all around you and inside of you through your intuition. And your intuition is speaking right now, always. But now you're starting to remember how to listen. And it's helping you uncover the very specific, unique language. And this can be a very tender place. And it can be painful to begin to receive all the facets of yourself that are or have been hidden behind those pieces that you're shedding. And there can be feelings that you may not know how to feel. And that's when you start to reach out for support if you're able to. But you can also start supporting yourself by starting a meditation practice, by really learning how to take care of your energy. And there's so many resources, free resources on YouTube, on the internet for you to look into, podcasts. But of course, there are people like me and many other beautiful people that can help you too. So as you move through this time of darkness, as your eyes get used to seeing in this new space, as your trust really begins to build a true foundation, because it is your light that illuminates the path. You are the vehicle. You light up the path every step of the way. So during this time, if you are experiencing this, make space for you to connect to your energy. Because when you are awakening in the dark, it is not time to spin your mind and kind of look around at a frantic pace, hoping to kind of catch a glimpse of the right direction to go. It's not time for that. It's time to find your breath, to remember what it feels like to be grounded, to connect to what your energy needs, to really learn how to feel calm and centered in the midst of so much uncertainty in all the unfamiliar, so that you can remind yourself that the sun will shine on the horizon, the dawn will come, the light will get brighter. But right now, your intuition is calling for you to trust where you are today so that you can see without the sun, because you light the way as you cast your gaze within. And that's what it's all about. Learning the foundations of trusting yourself so that you can do what you want, but more importantly, what you are meant to do. Because we are all pieces of a puzzle right now. In this world, we all have our place. And there isn't just one, but you get to choose. But first, you have to remember. And that's why it's so important to take care of yourself and make sure that you know that what is happening, what you're experiencing, what you're going through is not strange or wrong or completely unique to you. It is part of a passage of being a human being, of being a spirit in a body, being a soul in a body. It's part of that journey. So, congratulations? Question mark. No, congratulations. It's a beautiful, amazing, courageous thing to do. To trust yourself, to do something with no certainty in sight, that's remarkable. And remember, I have so many free meditations, ways for you to really take care of your energy if you're not in the space right now to hire an energy healer or intuitive guide. So don't forget about all the free resources that I have and that so many other people do. So thank you for listening. And I would love to hear if you have any thoughts or questions or anything you want to share about this journey of remembering and everything that I spoke about on this episode. You can message me on treenlight.healing at my Instagram or on my website, treenlight.com. And if you're curious about working with me, you can go to the show notes and you can see where I offer one-on-one sessions and also my 4-month healing journey one-on-one called The Key. So it's easy to book your free clarity session through my website, and I'll leave all those links in the show notes, and you'll find also the link to sign up for my email list, my newsletter. And when you do sign up, you get to watch my much beloved workshop, Knowing When to Trust Your Intuition. So check out the show notes for all those links, and hugely appreciate it if you subscribe or follow wherever you get your podcasts. And if you feel called to support, to give a little bit of support, then you can share this episode with a friend or you could leave a review. That would be amazing. So thank you so much again. Be kind to yourself, and I'll talk to you soon.
just want to say something very, very meaningful. Cat.